think that pretty much wraps up that topic. Let's see
Tyler.
who's next. Is Tyler next with the all returning potential all Big Ten candidates? That's how I made my list, was based on potential.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think we have a returning All Big Ten guy. So, I mean, obviously, this is a big conversation. Who are going to be our stars next year? Who are going to be the guys that are going to make us relevant on the conference level? And I know Shenander's gotten a lot of praise for defense, and I do think that's where a lot of these guys are going to pop up again. So the way I look at this is I'm not counting transfers. I'm not counting Casey Thompson. I'm talking about guys that played at Lincoln last year that are returning. If you guys want to throw in a brand new guy, go. I don't care. But there's a few names that came to mind, and it kind of starts with the inside backers. I think both of our inside backers really have a shot. Both of them were top 10 in tackles in the Big Ten last year. In the case of Reimers, he caused the second most fumbles. I think both of them are in for really good capacity. The only thing that might hurt them is the return of Will Honus. And it sounds really, but like they might just lose some snaps this year. So maybe both of them. And then I had two more names I had written down. And then I have three more names written down. Garrett Nelson, Ty Robinson, and then Omar Manning. Now, Omar Manning I'm putting in there because I do think we're going to pass more. I think we are going to be more of a passing team, and someone's got to catch those balls. Is it Xavier Betts? Is it Trey Palmer? Right now, I am going Omar Manning. I think that I know Justin likes to say, well, he didn't have the year he expected. He had 380 yards receiving. I think that is a pretty solid year for wide receivers at Lincoln. Like, go back and look at how many wide receivers in Lincoln have caught more than 350 yards passing in the last half decade. That list is really small. So I do expect him to be that guy that can step up. Does he get to all conference? I don't know, but I find it interesting that I had four guys on defense, and in spite of that, I think our offense is going to be better than our defense. I just think it's going to kind of, just like our offense was better than our defense this year. Our offense was number 2 in the Big Ten. Our defense was 6th. So like our offense was better than our defense again this year, but I think it's going to be kind of similar where it's going to get spread around, not so much one position. So that was my list. Anybody that I missed? Anybody you guys think that I'm crazy about? Chris, I'll start with you.
I think that list is fine, but I would add in probably one of the running backs, either Ramir or Gabe. And then maybe I could see Farmer stepping up because what was it? It wasn't last year. I think he had a couple interceptions last year, but the year he got hurt, he was on a pretty good pace that year too. He had three interceptions that year. So I'm going to put Farmer and one of the running backs for my two guys.
I'll grant you Farmer, but whenever your thing is, I'm gonna get one of the running backs that is not an answer. I need a name. You gotta tell me what name is gonna make all conference.
Okay. I'll go with Farmer and I'll go with Johnson.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
You talking Emmett Johnson?
Ramir Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Emmett, and you know what? Dark horse right there. Anybody that I'm missing? Anybody else that you would throw? Anybody like?
Well,
what about Ty Robinson? Was that a stretch?
I've got Ty Robinson listed. I've also got Caleb Tanner listed, and as potential, I have Quentin Newsom, and like you did, Miles Farmer, Luke Reimer. I also have Xavier Betts listed as somebody who's under Mickey Joseph. If there's a dude that's got the potential that can have it be extracted by a dude that's going to coach him hard, I think it's Xavier. I think he responds to that pretty well. His coach in Omaha was pretty hard on him. Teddy Prohaska, I could see him as an honorable mention All Big Ten player on the offensive line. Maybe Thomas Fedoni as a breakout player for the Big Ten or something at tight end. In the Whipple offense, if we're going to be 52 to 55% pass to run ratio, I could see the tight ends sticking out a little bit, and Fedoni's just got all the athleticism in the world. So those are the guys I have in mind. How about you? Anybody else?
I would put Noeli in there before I would Prochaska. Noeli was one of the highest rated, according to PFF, was one of the highest rated offensive linemen we had.
Okay.
And so I think with his rating, I thought he did a good job. Like, he only allowed 5 pressures all year. I mean, granted, he didn't start as much. He didn't play quite as much as some of those other guys. But we had 159 pressures. 99 of those came from the tackles.
Oh, yeah. And almost all of them came from Corcoran's side. So,
I mean,
the only reason I picked out Prohaska is because Aiden Hutchinson was basically neutralized in the Michigan game when Prohaska was in there. And then when he went out, the first thing that happened, Ben Hart gave up, a sack or a tackle behind the line of scrimmage?
Yes,
So-
but if you'll remember, after that, he settled down and graded out pretty high after that game.
He did. But Aiden had nothing for the first half of that game until he got hurt. Until Prohaska got hurt late in that second quarter, early third quarter, whatever it was. I don't know. I was in Arizona. So my brain was baked and the beer was cold. So anybody else got anything on all returning Big Ten candidates on offense or defense that we haven't mentioned?
I just have to say this because we talked about this before this past year. How hard it is to get a wide receiver on the All Big Ten team.
Yep.
Because the All Big Ten teams, they only do 2 wide receivers on the team. So you have to be in the top 6 in the conference to hit that team. So, you hear names like Omar Manning and Xavier Betts. I mean, you're putting those guys top 6 in the conference when you say things like that. So that's a really tall order for those guys.
And you always know that at least 3 of those 6 guys are going to be from Ohio State.
Well, see, this year 3 of those guys. I think that this year was a really weird anomaly in the Big Ten. Like, I mean, David Bell, the Ohio State wide receivers. I mean, I think that those were guys that you earmarked going into 2021. Like, well, those are going to be special players. I don't think the Big Ten is loaded at wide receiver near at the level as it was in 2022 or 2021. I
mean, the 2 guys that were mentioned, Xavier Betts and Omar Manning, I'm not even sure if either of those 2 guys are going to be leading Nebraska in receiving yards. I mean, I think our guy, IGC,
IGC, yeah.
We're talking. We called him IGA in our last podcast.
I know. I was laughing too. I was laughing a lot.
But, Isaiah Garcia Castanado, man, that dude. I think he can come in, and I think he can take over the role of Samori Toure and really lead the team in receiving yards over the other 2 guys. I just think that Omar Manning might have maxed out at what his potential level is at Power 5 football.
Could be. You never know. Does anybody have anyone on special teams at all that maybe makes the list?
Well,
hey,
I mean,
I'm a big.
I was gonna say Trey Palmer.
Palmer. I'm a huge
TP
fan of him.
Well, because the last time he returned a couple of touchdowns back on punt and a kickoff return was when Bill Bush was his special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
I threw Brian Buschini on the list just because maybe we'll get a guy that can average 40 plus, and who knows, if he gets the wind at his back, he might crank off a couple of 84 yarders instead of one, like what was his name, Pristip, or however the fuck you say it, Derek.
My marker of success, if we get all Big Ten candidates, is honestly just going to be if we have a winning record. I think that will bode well for any of the guys that we've mentioned, because I've got pretty much the same names as all of you guys have mentioned: Luke Reimer, Nick Henrich, Garrett Nelson. I did put Xavier Betts, but yeah, you did highlight a good point that there's only 6 of them that can be selected, and there's a wide pool of wide receivers to be looked at. And then I put a split between Gabe Ervin and Ramir Johnson if they have a breakout season. But I really think for Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich and Garrett Nelson, those are probably my top 3. And I really a winning record for the Cornhuskers is really going to bode well for them getting those votes. And if they have, a good season, and with Will Honus coming back for like the seventh year, like he's got to be here for 8-9 years now. He's got to have his own LLC started up at this point.
His daughter's going to graduate 8th grade graduation next year.
Holy crap!
Good night.
No, I'm making that shit up. I'm sorry.
I was like, what? What?
Thanks.
He would have had to have a kid
She'll
when he
be
was like
attending the
11.
University of Nebraska as a freshman.
But yeah, that was my only thought, was winning record being a huge player in that.
Well, I think we have covered that topic pretty well, have we? Or anybody else got anything that that hasn't been mentioned? John Fielder, undefeated 2022. Yeah, he's been drinking the same bourbon you are, Justin. Clearly.
Yeah. There's no alcohol in his.
Okay. Wow. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be impressed by that or not.